checking out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
Most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big dog sports talk, lighten up the dark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark. Sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark.
The Monday edition of the program. Hope you had a good weekend. Is going forward, we will now have college football every weekend for the next 4 months. It's true. I know. I mean, it's here.
Oh,
It's here.
oh my. Oh, no.
Oh, no. That was out of nowhere.
But welcome into BDST, presented by Pulaski County Sports Entertainment. As we broadcast live from our family fencing studios, hit us up on our Professional Door Incorporated text line, 391-0788, or in our McClellan Chiropractic with Dr. Mark Hunley chat room. We'd love to hear from you. Hope you're good. Good morning, Prometheus. Yes, it is. Let me see. Here in Reiner, you got 53 in Giles. Hey, heat wave here, baby. 55 here in Reiner. What's up, T-Bird? It does feel like a little bit of a nip in the air. What's up, Geese? What's up? I'm going to mess up the name. Reese's, good morning. Please, everybody, subscribe, like, and share the channel. Coach Elmo joins us at 7. Todd Grantham might be a little late, scheduled to join us at 8. And we're getting down to the nitty-gritty now. College football is now here. It's I have tried to dedicate looking forward, and then all this crap with guys who are leaving NFL camps and going back to school. Daquan Wright, there you go, a little bit of Virginia Tech connection. Maybe the highest profiled player. LSU is going to take him. Imagine being the guy who's worked his tail off in practice for so many weeks, all summer, went through spring, and then you're told, hey, you may not be on the roster. And that's a 105-man roster. Yeah, Ian's cancer. That was great. I'm telling you, man. Hey, WNBA, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Unbelievable. Are they that inept? Here's the question. Maybe this should be our BDST attorney Ryan Pry fan question of the week. Is the WNBA this inept? Or is it some kind of brilliant marketing ploy to keep them recycling in the news to turn it into kind of like a WWE soap opera? Because surely, no matter how completely and utter tainted you are as a human, because all you do is get wrapped up in your politics, you can't be this lack of self-aware, can you? Only in America, as Geese says, getting kicked out of a women's basketball game for supporting women, as his sign said. It's unbelievable. It really is. Unbelievable. But in any event, so you had a judge stay the ruling that allowed these 5-year players to come back. They're all going to file individual suits and win anyway. But here we are. But NIL, pay for play, it's all destroying it completely 100%. But we do have games. I got to be honest, it gets harder to focus on the games. It does. It gets much harder to focus on the games. But I don't know which one it is, to be honest with you. I do find it hard to believe that someone can be that ignorant, stupid, draped in their own agenda. I mean, how can anyone take any aspect of that league seriously? Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. James Lawson, 5403-818011. Manufactured parts for your home. The NRV Super Bowl at 382-5525. Leagues are forming. The kids' leagues got till September the 12th. Get it done. I think the men's, women's, and mixed leagues filled very nicely. If you're having electrical issues like we did on Saturday here for just a moment, we had a big bad storm blow through here. Sundown Electric will take care of it. The best electrical company around down in Allison, the Smith Brothers. Awesome, beautiful building, beautiful logo, great people. ReadySetFun.com. How can Bob Christ help you? Well, reach out to him, bobchrist11@gmail.com. And let him how a series of text messages can help you raise money for your organization, whatever it might be. National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of me and this program. We mentioned Professional Door. Travis Williams up in Dublin, 40 years in business, sponsor of our text line. The attorney Ryan Pry, Trust and Estate Planning, 701 West Main Street in Radford. Got to get our question in. Little River Heating and Air. Do you need heat? Do you need air? It's great during the day, warm, and then in the evening it's chilly. I think it's perfect. This is perfect. Have the windows up, let it come in, get the air off. You save a little bit of money. Alaska County Sports and Entertainment, presenting sponsor of this program. Morris, what is going on? From my perspective, the Penn State Nittany Lions just keep on giving. Unfortunately, the frat boys will find out the state of Pennsylvania will be less forgiving. BDST is live. He says, I miss the days when politics was not a thing in sports. You could just watch a game 100%. This is why I hate politics. This is why I can't stand what this everybody. There's a lot of people will judge how they treat you if you don't agree with them. I experienced that at work. I experience it everywhere. I don't get wrapped up in it. It's stupid. It's stupid. It is stupid. People will cost themselves relationships and judge other people, blah, 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 just because you happen to disagree with them. And it's ridiculous. But that's okay, because then you find out who the true people are that you need in your life. Your circle will either lessen or increase itself on its own. You don't really need to go out and do a whole hell of a lot, right? And once those things are revealed, you can just go, okay, all right, I'm cool. Your schedule looks like this, Geese. We're here for you. Yeah, North Carolina and TCU. That's a nooner on Saturday. That's over in Ireland. San Jose State and USC, number 14 USC. And then, NC State and Virginia, which, of course, is the dreaded non-conference game. Because apparently only in the ACC that's a thing. A really good well, I guess they are FBS. I don't know. Are they getting there? Is North Dakota State FBS now? Didn't they join a league? Anyway, Jacksonville State, North Dakota State, a couple of powers at the G5 level. That'll be a pretty interesting game. Sacramento State, Eastern Michigan. Call the neighbors, wake the kids. Hawaii and Stanford to get a look at those tough Cardinal out of the ACC. New Mexico State, Florida State. That'll be interesting. And then Memphis and UNLV. So actually, you know what? It's a pretty good slate of week 0 games here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 ACC teams, or 3.5. 3.5. I'm not going to count Stanford. But Carolina, TCU, NC State, Virginia obviously will be the big draws around here. Breaking the rocks in the hot sun. I fought the law and the law won. What happened to the days where we could agree to disagree? Correct. They are gone. They are gone. They are gone. There are no more days to agree to disagree. Nope. It immediately goes to disdain and hatred and wishing bad things on the person that disagrees with you. That's where we are. What's up, Paco? Let me get people updated because everybody was very nice checking. It's tough to say this, but I got the youngest son dropped off at UVA Saturday. On the bright side, I will say this. Man, they had it very efficiently done. And, he kind of fought me because he didn't want to get up as early. I said, we need to get down there ahead of our schedule. Oh, we're not scheduled to this time. We need to be down there about an hour ahead of time. We got down there an hour ahead of time. Guess what? They put us right through. We actually had one of the front parking spaces to unload. You have 20 minutes to unload. And we got him in, got unloaded, blah, 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 made sure everything was worked out. And we were on our way. By the time we left, by the time Janet and I left, the line of traffic was you were just like, whoa. And that could have been us. So I looked at him before I left. I said, see, here's one of my last fatherly advices before you go out in this world on your own. 100%. Sometimes your dad knows what the hell he's talking about. I only wish bad things on the Cowboys and Mets, Thunder says. Hey, it's perfectly fine to wish bad things on the sports teams you don't like. 100%. 100%. He is, he's at Bice Hall. Where's the attorney, Ryan Pry? I think he's a UVA grad. He's at Bice. It's very nice, actually. He's got 3 suite mates there, or whatever the hell they're called, roommates. I don't know what the hell's a suite mate. Roommates. And it's very nice. Beds were nice. There's an area out front, big couches and stuff, and they can do all these things. Yeah, unfortunately, out in this world, Stuart, at any university, you're not going to find much else. There are exceptions, but not many. I hope he can maintain. Hopefully he maintains the values I tried to get across. We shall see. We shall see. But in any event, he's there. He's a second year down in Charlottesville. Classes start tomorrow. But it was relatively painless getting there early. And I asked the gentleman, by the way, the gentleman who was the head of the parking situation was a Radford grad, which was awesome. So you had to have somebody stay with the car. So I took my son, got him situated, got his stuff in, and Janet stayed at the car. She got to talking to the guy. And she was telling him all about me. And he's like, hey, I listened to you on the basketball game. So it was just, he was talking about Rowdy Red. I brought up Mike Ashley. He knew who Mike Ashley was. It was really cool. But he kind of gave us a little leeway. They were, one lady was like, "Wow, you need to move that vehicle. You've been here for a little longer than 20 minutes." I'm like, really? Really? He said, he looked at us and went, You're fine. You're fine. But it's done. It's done. So I'm going to let him be, and hopefully it'll all come out in the wash. What's up, Gerald? Rick, what did you think about James Franklin's comments about not naming a starter at quarterback? Meaningless. Yeah, I don't know why he did that. That dumb. Because later that day he was named one of the captains, talking about Ethan Grunkmeyer. You didn't pay $2.5 million. There's no quarterback controversy. There's never been a doubt who the quarterback's going to be. I don't know why he did that. As much as I thought about how great it was when he was sitting there when we were at the Chamber of Commerce event and he was talking about, I'm not going to give you lip service about the team. We're not very good. He immediately did that. Of course, it's Ethan Grunkmeyer. There's no battle going on. I don't know. That was, yeah. Pay no attention to that. I got so many text messages. Wow. So is Grunkmeyer not doing well? What is it? No, it's fine. That was him enveloping himself in complete coach speak for whatever reason. Mark Twain wrote, when I was a boy of 16, I couldn't believe how dumb my father was. When I became 21, I couldn't believe how much he had learned. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. Mike Ashley is a global phenomenon too, Bert. Anyway, I told the guy about the show, so if you're watching, sir, I believe his name was Andrew. Good morning. My son is 26 now, Stewart says. He went to UH and got a worthless degree. I know. He decided to become an electrician 2 years ago. He asked me my advice, my son, and he didn't like it. I'm going to tell you, we didn't have a great parting last few months because he's going to UVA. And I said the same thing, Stuart. I said, there's a lot of money to go to UVA. Even as an in-state, even with all the scholarship money you have, even with all the fact you aced Wise, their sister school. Don't let this become a worthless degree. He goes, what would your plan be? My plan would be you could have gone to Radford for free. You want to be a teacher, professor, which is what he wants to do. Radford has one of the strongest teaching programs in the country. Or you could go to New River, start learning a trade and going out and getting a job pretty early in your young life and making some decent money. But that was my advice. He ignored it. I respect the fact that it's his path, his life, his decision. So I'm getting the hell out of the way. I've done what I needed to do. Did what I needed to do. How about former Virginia? Yeah, we talked about that. The whole thing with this is just ridiculous, laughable. It's such a, I don't want to say the phrase early in the morning, but it's such a cluster, you know what. Prometheus says, we're still paying on my wife's worthless degree. Thank you. I know. It's what T-Bird put up earlier, but the song, right? It's what Stuart's talking about. I know. By the way, welcome, Stuart. Everybody, please subscribe if you haven't. Like and share our stuff. It helps. Trust me. The liking really helps. I know, Prometheus. That I'm just going to let it go. It's what you have to do. He did well at Wise, and it was a great experience. Great little community, great small school. I liked it. It's up in the hills. It was Southwest Virginia, the very corner of the state. You felt, I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see. But he didn't like my advice. Some things are more practical. Look, I don't mind telling. When I was, all right, so I grew up on a farm. And early in my life, I had to take care of things. I had to help my dad. I had my brother and I. We had to take care of animals. We had to put up hay all summer. We had to fix fence. We had to keep the stables clean. We had horses. We had cattle. Chickens. We didn't have sheep very often. Sometimes we did. We had it all. In other words, we had to work. You were up early every morning. I think that's why getting up and doing the show doesn't really bother me as much. And that's not bragging. That's just how I was raised. One time I remember getting a little fired up, and I said, don't we even get paid for this? My dad sat back. He wasn't mad. He goes, did you wake up in a nice, comfortable bed this morning? I said, yeah. Okay. What'd you have for breakfast? Oh, I don't know. Ham, sausage, eggs, whatever I wanted, whatever I needed. Okay. Do you pay for electricity in this house? No, sir. There's your allowance. Sounds tough, doesn't it? Sounds almost cruel. No. It made me go, okay. That's a great point. That's a great point. When I was 18, going to get into 19, sat me down one day. I'll never forget it. We were in the barn coming off the field. It was like June, July. He said, hey, it's time for you to, what do you want to do? I want to go to school. Okay. Well, I want you to earn it. I want you to get a job. I want you to pay for your school. That's what I did. I went to food line. I got a full-time job in the meat department because I knew something about that growing up around it. And I paid for my own school as I worked because it made it mean more. It made every class more important. It made every test vital. I didn't ever go into it thinking I could slide by this, slide by that, because it was coming out of my bank account. Not that he couldn't have paid for it, but it was a life lesson. You can't do that today. All right. Or you can, but the message is completely not received the way that it needs to be. It's crazy how we have gone 180 from that era to this generation. Thunder says, I've been a Phillies fan since mid-'70s. Past night's walk-off was the best I've seen. Yeah, your Phillies are really – well, as long as the Phillies and Pods make it, we're okay. We got to keep the Diamondbacks away from us. He says the Cowboys might have the best wide receiver room in the NFL. Yes, square bells. We didn't get into the big round bells toward the end, and by then he had enough hands. I was a little older. He had enough hands to kind of roll them up. It was always square bells. Have your gloves on. You always had a flannel shirt on. You can't go out there even in the heat and cut your arms out of hell. You got to have one on one arm, one on the other. Throw them in the back of the truck, back the truck up to the barn loft. Guess who was always the guy throwing the bells? Me. Get about 55, 60 on the old farm truck at a time. Rinse and repeat 10, 15 times. Absolutely. I hope you visited Miller's downtown venue known as the place Dave Matthews worked before finding fame. No, I did not. I got the hell out of there, got back home. Geese says, I started working construction at 15. Oh, look at that. It sucked at the time, but now I'm grateful. There you go, Geese. Great. That's a great story. Awesome. Pops was tough, but not in a way that was like demeaning or threatening, just in a way that life's going to be a piece of crap a lot of the time. You might as well start working at it. Stewart says, I hear you, Geese. I've worked maintenance for 35 years, blue collar. Absolutely. Me and my dad did carpet work and commercial roofing. Every young man needs to work at least one summer putting up square bales. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. But you know what? I wouldn't trade it for the world. I learned so much about common sense things, about how nature works, about how weather works. My wife she just smiles because you can know the cloud cover. You know what it means. You know, you can look how birds are flying. You watch animals. You know how, you learn all these things. You remember when Balboa had his abscess? I knew what to do because we had done it growing up with animals. A lot of people were freaking out. What are you doing? Oh, my God. I mean, people are like, my daughter. But why did you do? Well, because it's going to cost me upwards of $2,000 to go have the vet do it when I know exactly what to do. He's fine, by the way. He's fine. Or says, us farm boys had competition each summer. How many squares? Our competition was, are we going to be able to get through Tuesday to get to Wednesday? You know what my reward was? Going to my dad and saying I wanted to go play. I was decent football player, pretty good football player, getting up toward high school. And I said I wanted to go play for a man by the name of Joel Hicks. Well, Dad was already a big fan of Coach Hicks, being a fellow West Virginia guy. Dad graduated from WVU. And he let me have those last few summers. I would work just sporadically because he let me go play football. He knew that's what I wanted to do at that time. That was my dream. That was my goal. He did not stand in the way. So I know it sounds like he was a hard ass, and he was, but it also came with that speech I told you about. Look, you're going to do this. You're fine. Go do it. You go do it. Don't bring it home. Don't want to hear about any problems with your teammates. Don't want to hear any problems with Coach Hicks or the staff. You work it out. If you got a problem with it, you're not doing what you need to do. Teaches you a lot about responsibility. You don't realize it at the time, but you realize, okay, all right. Stewart and Geese, both Texas people. Wow. T-Bird says, by the time I was 14, I'd help paint the house twice, re-roof the house, overhaul the 318 engine in the family Plymouth. Yeah, see? Stewart's a Texans fan. Oh, well, we like your Texans here on the program. What's up, Wayne? Done all of that. Landscaping at 15, construction 18. A longshoreman. See, that's cool. Wayne is a longshoreman at coal piers for 6 years, tying up 1,000-foot ships with rain and coal pouring on you. And look at you now. There's very little at life that can challenge you after that. When I was fighting, that kind of clinched it. There are things that get into your grill, like when I have a disagreement with my son, as I did. But there's not a whole lot that scares you in life. Stewart, the Cowboys and Texans play this year. Uh-oh. We got to have a Geese and Stewart wager that week. Yeah, I'm thankful for it all. I am. I was in great shape to get through Coach Hicks' two-a-days, to get through camp, to get through the summer workouts, to get through August. I always felt really good, and I attribute all that to what I had done over the summers leading up. Naturally strong out working like that. Dad called me the mule. It's just the way I was built. It's the way I was genetically created at the time, and I was always the muscle part of the whole operation, and it helped me a lot in football. Now, when I got there, I was average. I wasn't a great football player. I was a contributor. I wasn't like a mega star. But making traveling team was just fine. That meant a lot to me. I'm thankful for every butt whooping I got coming up. Stewart worked as an asbestos inspector. Wow. See, so you all understand. Everybody understands. It was different for us, wasn't it? And you know what? We're all glad. We're all very, very glad. Matthew, what's up? Please subscribe, everybody. Oklahoma needs a pro football team. I don't know if the Sooners would allow. Oklahoma is going to be really good this year. I think. Wayne says, I appreciate what I do now. I just had to make money anyway and anyhow. Exactly. You're trying to survive. It's survival. Every day on the farm is survival. 100%. I get it. Dang, Wayne, did you walk uphill to school both ways? Even the way we looked at snow in the wintertime for school was different. And I've told this story. You know, you lived it all. You all lived it. We're setting up in the commons there at Pulaski County High School. I don't know if we were in lunch or what. We were walking. Anybody who knows, there's a canopy. You walk in between one building, the arts building, over to the main. And we'd be walking back and forth to class, and it's pouring snow. And I'll never forget, I don't know if it was, who was it I was talking to? Could have been Alan Martin, could have been Sanford Jenkins, could have been Lamont Taylor. I don't know who it was. Could have been Rodney Landreth. But I remember we were walking, and it's just like a blizzard. And I remember us going, wow, you think they're going to let us go home today? And one of the other kids went, nah, he measured. He had like a ruler. Nah, it's only about 3 inches. It won't do anything. I'm like, wow. Now, of course, if they call for snow, they will cancel snow for multiple days during the week. Oh, did you see the forecast on Sunday? We're going to be out till at least Wednesday. So, yeah, the boys in Charlottesville. We'll see how it goes. Agreed, Morris. And if not, we know how to handle it. Stewart says Oklahoma's good every year. The Longhorns need to stay on top to beat them every year. Oklahoma's, well, they've been good. They were good last year. It took Venables a while to get it to where he wants it, but now I think he's arrived. And they have their pay-for-play program worked out pretty well. Thunder says, my dad had a saying that I hated as badly as my two sons have. Boy, use your head for something other than a hat rack. Yep. T-Bird says, we stood on ice and falling snow waiting for a bus with chainsaws. Exactly. We're not exaggerating. They hardly canceled school. Exactly. For one day, right. And if you went home, you still had to wait and go, are they going to let us out tomorrow? I don't know. So you still had to go to bed early because you just weren't quite sure. Yeah, they put chains on the tires. And once you heard that, by the way, it was like, oh, did they get the chains on the buses? Oh, then we're going to school. If there is a forecast for 2 inches of snow, school will automatically be canceled, not only in the, school systems, but at the university level. No, might get some flurries. Soft. Oh, very nice. Thunder, is that you? Show me the results of the smoker and cast iron pan. Nice. Meatloaf sandwiches. Love meatloaf sandwiches. Nice. Very nice. You were built different. Yeah, you couldn't wait to get outside. You get home from school, backyard football game, go out and shoot basketball at somebody's house. Play wiffle ball. Absolutely, man. And you go out summertime. It was just a different time. It was our own version of Andy Griffith. We always say, look at the way it was with Opie walking everywhere and his friends, walking to school, walking here, walking there. He could walk to the police station to go see his dad and Barney. All right, no worries, responsibility. It's kind of like it was for us. You'd go out and you'd play, and then you'd get a call, hey, dinner's ready. Oh, can I stay out here till dark? Wayne says, yeah, canceling school now based on weatherman predictions is insane. I had to adjust when I moved to Cleveland. 1 foot of snow and the bus to a sliding stop. Yeah, because they don't want to go to the trouble. See, they don't want to go. There's effort. So they go ahead and cancel school ahead of time because, boy, it's going to be hard once it starts to get them from point A to point B. We don't want to. So if we just leave them home, we're all out anyway. Yeah, I do too. For me, this in a lot of ways. I do too. I do too. My dad's most saying was, if you can't listen, you'll just have to feel. I think I have said my dad's saying here on the program, the one that stayed with me the most. It was regarding episodes you'd get involved in with the fairer sex. Tebow, what's up? I actually heard a girl the other day arguing with a guy. The Bible says all men are created equal. Dude, that's the Constitution, you idiot. I was rolling. Really? Stewart says we have a catfish hole nearby. I can walk to it and drink some beers and bring home supper. There you go. I believe you're 100% correct, Wayne. Correct. I could not agree more. No, so now people are prompting me. What was your dad saying, Rick? Do I give a you know how you do spoilers warning when you have a show like this? Spoilers. Name a football player for an edit. Randy Gradishar. You want a modern football player? Or you want a real football player? Al Denson, great receiver for the Broncos in the mid-'60s. Oh, you want me to say Patrick Mahomes? Randy Gradishar. See right here on the wall, see right there, that's called a Hall of Fame plaque. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Soccer. In America, soccer is not football. It is in your country, not in ours. Soccer is soccer. I'm unapologetic about that. Soccer, Kevin De Bruyne. How's that? Thanks, Neil. How about that? Manuite, whatever the hell your name is. Manuited. Man U United. Okay. I see that now. Man U United. I see. I see that. Okay. Hey, we had it. At least we had it here. At least we had the World Cup here. I think it went over pretty well. I know one thing. It was refreshing to see so many other nations respecting this country. America's a pretty good place, isn't it? It's a shame that, probably half of the population of this country doesn't appreciate it because they're tied up in all those things that we talked about earlier. The victim mentality. But we got it pretty good here. And when other countries came here to support their national teams in the biggest sporting event in the world, they kind of appreciated it over here, didn't they? Imagine that. What did Dad say? You ready? Son, you're starting to go out with girls now. Don't dig your grave with your dick. Great advice. Great advice. T-Bird says it all started when a woman sued McDonald's for getting burned by spilled coffee. I remember that. She didn't set it down. She hit a bump or something, and she spilled it. Oh, I got burned. McDonald's, it's your fault. And she actually won. Good advice. Yes. Yes, it was. And you knew exactly what he meant. Well, y'all asked, so I told you. Don't hold it against me. Dad was one of a kind. One of a kind. Finest kind, but one of a kind. I missed the Saturday phone calls. West Virginia lifer, right? He went there. He was such a massive West Virginia football fan. And I missed the post-game call, win or lose. And I knew when the scoreboard came up short, I was just like, oh, here we go. And it would be just everything you would expect. When they won, it would be he would start singing John Denver on the phone. Like it was just a little bit of time you wish you could get back in your life. One of those phone calls, right? Just like to have one more. I see you, T-Bird. By the way, it was Ricky Bustle's birthday yesterday. And apparently I missed David Smith's birthday. Remind me to wish him a belated happy birthday on Thursday. I hate missing people's birthdays. I'm not on social media much. I'm not on Facebook, so I didn't know. I think I saw that. So the best football analyst that you're going to find anywhere, I want to wish him a happy belated birthday. Because I think that happened as well. The mixed service was this weekend. He was laid to rest. Thanks for all the well wishes. I hope the family's doing okay. Have claims of a guy driving ATM into wire to keep from trespassing. He was trespassing. A guy who fell off small step ladder got on himself. Both died, and both families are suing the owners of the property. Wow. Wow. Bull Teal would have been all over it. Yeah. Man, I miss Bull Teal. I was thinking about him. I think about him a lot, actually. He's part of the first Hall of Fame class over here at Auburn, rightfully so. Yeah, that's where we are, Wayne. No personal responsibility. It had to be something else, somebody else's fault. For me, this says, let's be honest, the main reason schools are canceled for anything is because teachers, administrators get to stay home. Yeah, they get paid the same. I roll my eyes. I no longer have kids in the public schools, but I roll my eyes whenever I hear about schools being canceled the day before, just because of a forecast. It's mind blowing. But I guess it's the same thing Wayne's talking about, though. Right? He just gave the testimony examples there about the two folks that are suing. That's what would happen. That's what, to the school's defense, they know exactly what people are going to do. If a bus runs off the road, hits a mailbox, and everybody's okay, but the kid is jarred up, oh my goodness, look at the emotional distress you caused. Look at all this that you caused by not closing school. So that's why they do it. Insanity. Wasn't it Jamiroquai who had the song Virtual Insanity? That's a good song. Kind of like a little piano, funky bass song. Thank you, Ed. This is great advice by your dad. You care if I use that for mine? No, please. Dad would be honored. Pass it along. Pass it along. Yeah, I think more people are doing that, Tebow. He says, if I had a kid, I'd homeschool him. I wouldn't want my kid going to public school these days. Yeah. Geese, we got Coach Elmo and Todd Grantham today. Coach Elmo and Todd Grantham. T-Bird says, reminds me of the first time I served on a jury, Wayne. I want to do that. I want to be part of a jury for like a really prominent case, I'm not wishing any ill will, but like if it were a murder trial or something like that, I think that would be interesting. I've wanted to experience that. I never have. I've never have been called for jury duty. Yes. Hey, Stephen. Good morning. How are you on the professional door text line? Yeah, I addressed it earlier. It meant nothing what James Franklin said about the quarterbacks. Nothing. Why? I don't know. Why he said it? I don't know. But there's no battle. There's no every day somebody's cutting into that. Well, you know who the starter is. He's been the starter. Oh, by the way, later that same day when Virginia Tech released their captains, he was one of them, Ethan Grunkmeyer. So, but boy, people are Larice. They just think that's verbatim, baby. Watch out. No, there's no battle. There's a large gap, no matter what is being portrayed. There's a massive gap between Ethan Grunkmeyer and the number 2 and 3 spots. Don't think there's any other aspect of that going on. Prometheus says every time he got called for jury duty, got canceled. See, that'd be disappointing. I get it. Hey, T-Bird just got a jury duty questionnaire in the mail on Saturday. There's the attorney Ryan Price, sponsor of our BDST fan question of the week. Before I went to law school, I got called for jury duty in Philadelphia for the trial of Skinny Joey Merlino. Really? Wow, what a great name. Thankfully, I wasn't selected. Skinny Joey Merlino. That is awesome. Now we're talking. It's great. We need common sense people on juries. I get people these days who don't know law, pay by emotion. $1 million is nothing to people anymore. Give it away. Yeah. It was a 6-month sequestered trial. Morris was on 3 jury duties. That doesn't surprise me. I can see you being the foreman of the jury. All criminal, 1 murder, 1 guy shot a man with buckshot for trespassing, and 1 DUI. Foreman every one. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So now people are saying they're thinking that James Franklin's going to run a multiple quarterback system. He will not. Realize that James Franklin is like any other coach. Much of what he says, you do not take with a grain of salt, especially when you get closer and closer to kickoff. It really does, Steve-O. Skinny Joey Merlino is straight off of a Goodfellas. Yeah, exactly. Skinny Joey, man. They got Skinny Joey. Not Skinny Joey. Yeah. They got Skinny Joey. Oh, man. Do you think he's going to toot like a canary? I don't know, but we better get out in front of this. But wait, Wayne. According to James Franklin, nothing's been decided at the quarterback position. Didn't you see the interview? Skinny Jet. That might be the best thing. We've had a lot of great stuff typed, but when Ryan Pride just typed in Skinny Joey Merlino, that might be the greatest name we've seen. Oh, man, Skinny Joey. They got him for 25 years, man. Yeah, you don't want those keydets to have too much information. I have to check that out. Attorney Ryan Pry. There's a Netflix documentary about the Philly mob. He plays a prominent role. Yeah, you got to keep it under wraps for VMI, I'll tell you. Now, I saw a debate, too, over the weekend. Tech fans are saying they have to beat them by at least 60 because they want it to impress the voters. Nothing you do against VMI is going to impress any voters. Sorry. You're 50.5-point favorites in a freaking football game. That game should not be played. Sorry, but it shouldn't. That should not be anyone's opener. Yeah, exactly, Tebow. I don't know why he went that route. Because, like I said, as refreshing as I thought it was, him there in front of the chamber, I thought what he said about that was, don't do that. Don't be that guy. Just don't be that guy. But he was. I do, Michael. I think Ethan Grunkemeyer has every chance to be an all-ACC caliber quarterback. I do. Who are the best quarterbacks in the ACC? Do we have a surefire NFL can't-miss quarterback in the ACC right now? Mensa goes from Duke to Miami. Florida State, Clemson, the head coach doesn't even like his quarterback. Louisville, UVA, why can't Ethan Grunkemeyer be an all-ACC quarterback? Of course he can. I don't know, T, but I'm going to ask him that question. I mean, I'm not saying they're bad quarterbacks, but is there one slam dunk to be a star in the NFL on any of these rosters? So I'm going to stand by it. Yes, I am. Tony Snell on the program. It's Coach Elmo. Coach Elmo, did you know Skinny Joey Merlino at all back in the day?
No, never met the gentleman.
Hey, Coach, Skinny Joey, how you doing? Skinny Joey Merlino. Apparently he was a mob boss. There you go. We just learned something from chat today. How you doing? How was your weekend, Coach? Did you get on the water anywhere?
Hold on one second.
Yeah, man.
No, I was in Georgia for the weekend. I had to go to that celebration.
Oh, that's right. Life. That's right.
Well, celebration of life at Georgia with Rock Perdoni and his family.
Yeah, that's
great
right.
Weekend.
Did it go as well as it could? Okay, good.
It was that was, like they all are. I hate going, but when you're there and when you're driving back or coming back, you're glad you went.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad.
It was really kind of cool. There were about at least 10, 15 Ferrum guys that played with Rock Perdoni at Ferrum in the 68 national championship team. And then there were about 15 Georgia Tech football players that Rock played with in 70-71 at Georgia Tech. One gentleman I was looking forward to seeing was a gentleman named Jack Williams, was the quarterback at Georgia Tech. And he was a coach. He coached at Richmond for Jim Tate. He left and went to Virginia to work with Dick Beswick. And I took his place at Richmond as the backfield coach. So we had some great times together and reminiscing and talk about the old Richmond and UVA days. And it was really, really kind of cool, And then we had a lot of Ferrum players that the couple of guys that I played with, because they were freshmen that became sophomores when I entered, that played with Rock Berdoni. He was the most, the Georgia Tech guys would tell you, he's one of the top 2 or 3, the most decorated players in the history of Georgia Tech football. And a very special man, a special guy. And I went to high school with him, so the family was very appreciative me being there. But believe me, and that was kind of taken aback for that, but it was great. And I just hope I don't have to go to any more of them.
Yeah. You've been to too many this year. I know you had to go
way too
with
many.
Coach Holtz. Yeah. And I know it's one of those things you don't want to have to go to, but once you're there, you kind of have a nice, it's kind of like
it's a matter of, it's not so much of the people that passed away, it's the people that are still alive, and whether it's wives and children and, the families is, and all of a sudden you get there, and next thing you know, you could just see it in their faces. They're so happy that you came, that I was able to, take that opportunity, time to come in. Anybody and everybody that's there, there's an appreciation of the respect factor and what this person meant to us, as well as what they meant to their families. And that was, that's been the most consistent of all the ones that I've been attending, because when I was coaching, I would never have had these opportunities. But now that I'm retired, and especially get up in age, guys that you played with, then I'm starting to think, all right, where am I going next? I know I'm going to William & Mary on the first weekend. They're having a special tribute for Lou Holtz, and a bunch of former players have gotten in touch with me. And I said, yeah,
cool.
Be there. Yeah, so Skip Holtz will be there. And that's, again, going up to South Bend, to pay tribute to Lou was an obvious for me, but still my number one motivation was to see Skip and that's given that support. Not that he needed it, but so that was that's my experiences with dealing with these celebrations of life.
Well, I'm sorry you had to go to it, but I'm glad it sounds like you got a lot out of it.
Oh,
that's the good side of it.
So we had hey, you'll appreciate this. Passed the microphone around, and so I got on there and told him who it was, and in terms of my relations with Rock Berdoni. His name was Renzo, but he came from Italy. He was 6 years old when mom and dad, seven children. They all came over from Italy. They couldn't speak a word of English. He was 6 years old when he got here in 1953, and rose to these great heights in football, and graduated from Georgia Tech, and he had his own construction company for years. But no, it was a great experience.
That would be a great gangster name too, Renzo Berdoni. That's a great name.
The Rock. Yeah. When he was in high school, all the Italians, they're gonna have a thing in Wellesley High School, Wellesley, Massachusetts. I was the third guy from my high school that went to fair. The first guy was a guy named Lou Santispago.
Oh wow.
Louis was like 64, 63, 64. Oh, we had more Italians. I'm telling you,
that's great.
The Italo-American club was rocking and rolling, baby.
That's awesome.
And Wellesley has a reputation. You had the two sides of it. You had this upper white collar, one of the wealthiest towns in the country back in the 50s and 60s. Kurt Gowdy lived there. A lot of the Celtics are Patriots, the Patriots owners. And then you had what's called Wellesley Hills, and you had the blue collar people, a bunch of Armenians and Italians, and it was like the UN. And but Lou Santispago was the first to go to fair. Because Massachusetts is a hockey state. No one's recruiting anybody in football. BC was the team of stature. You had Harvard, you had the Ivies, and So Lou, I think I've shared this with you numerous times. Good football player, and next thing you know, he's not being recruited. None of us were being recruited by nobody. We didn't get one offer, not even from Springfield College or Northeastern or all these, none. Rhode Island, UMass. So the high school janitor, Rick, started writing letters to coaches for Lou Santaspaga. This is the mid-'60s. He got a letter back from Ed Merrick, head coach at Richmond. This is like 64. And he said, contact Hank Norton at Ferrum Junior College, because Richmond had a bunch of Ferrum guys there. So he did. And next thing you know, it's history. That's how Lou gets down there. He goes to Georgia Tech, had a great career. Rock goes down there. Same thing. Custodian gets him down there. Sends him down. He's an All-American at Georgia Tech. He's second behind Stillwagon in the Lombardi Award. First year they made all 6 All-American teams. And then I go down there and, get to go to William Mary and play for Lou Holt. So he was 3 for 3. High school custodian. That was Coach Norton's ace recruiter in New England. So yeah, it was. I'm glad I went, and I hope I don't have to go to soon anymore. Soon, at least.
I know.
Hope
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, you're done with that for a while. You don't need any more of that. More fishing trips and less trips like you just had
No doubt.
this weekend. Yeah. Hey, so since I've had so many people asking, James Franklin got up there at the end of the week last week and tried to act like there was a big quarterback battle still going on. What was he trying to accomplish there? What could he – all he's done is make people question why they spent so much money on Ethan Grunkemeyer and how could there be one. And I'm just thinking, you got to understand there was nothing legitimate about that statement that he made.
Well,
why make it in the first place?
It could be good news, bad news. It could be legitimate competition, or it could be that no is spelled K-N-O-W. They don't know. I mean, don't forget. But it's interesting when you hear about Virginia Tech. This is going to be a very young football team. In terms of the core of their roster. You think about those Penn State transfers. There wasn't. I may be wrong on this, but I don't think there was a junior or senior in the portal that came from Penn State. There were a lot of redshirt freshmen or true freshmen or sophomores that transferred. When you look at Grunkemeyer, he's a freshman. He's a baby. He got baptized. I think he had 7 starts, and look what Drew Aller's done for Pittsburgh, for God's sakes. He was a starting quarterback till he got hurt. Then Grunkemeyer had to go take his place. And then you got the kid from Carolina, who I believe was a redshirt freshman. And then you got the kid from California, who's a true freshman. And then I think you had this one other freshman quarterback. So you got freshmen at quarterback, basically. Think about it, Rick. And you know what's set? And so maybe they don't know. Maybe I know they elected him captain, and that's another issue I want to address with you after we get through with this.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But maybe they don't know. Don't forget, if you got depth and if you can't name your starter now, okay, maybe I don't know. I wish I knew why he would come out with that statement. Kind of befuddles me. But obviously he's got relations with the quarterbacks, and maybe he's trying to send a message. Maybe they've had some really poor scrimmages, or and then don't forget, Rick, the problem today, and I really truly believe this, and I've heard some of the greatest quarterbacks say this. I've heard, please take the jersey off me. I've heard him say it. Take the jersey off me. Okay, don't worry about me getting hurt.
Yeah, he wants to play. Yeah.
I want this competition. I want to earn my teammates' respect. And I don't care. And they're so young. And if they have depth, well, take the jersey off them. If they're not worried about people getting hurt because they have depth, well, take the jerseys off them. And I believe that. And I'm not talking about, again, measuring toughness. I'm talking about that that earning your teammates' respect, all of a sudden, which Grunkmeyer are you got? You got the Iowa guy or you got the guy against Indiana? Now, you got two extremes. When you watch both those games against Iowa now, he got his ass kicked. Ass kicked. And if Drew Aller came back healthy, he'd have beaten him out. He'd have got his job back. So, there could be, to me, I listen to that and go, well, I guess they don't have a starter. Something's, for whatever reasons, I don't know what they are, but he can't name a starter, and there is a reason for it. And that, other than he's just BSing the public and the press or the fans, hell, I don't know. Who knows? No. But no, I think you've got kids that are, take the jersey off them and let them earn the team's respect, and you'll find out what you got. If they can't find out what they have right now, if he can't make that decision from the spring to the off-season summer, and you give me a practice with him, I'll tell you he'll start. It won't take me long.
You're there one day, you'll know.
Oh, trust me. No, trust me. No, it will not take me long from a defensive perspective to tell you who I think is the guy that's going to lead this football team and start. And I could do that. Just let me up there for a practice. I can do that. I really could. No doubt in my mind.
I agree.
It's kind of like an insult, but I believe it.
No.
I know what they're supposed to look like. Not that Coach Franklin doesn't either, but I know what they're supposed to look like. Don't forget, I launched Peyton Manning's career.
You're the guy.
I'm the guy. Hey, that's like one of the stories. I forgot to tell you this. So I got the microphone and I'm talking to the people attending the celebration of life. And I finished it with, and I said, and oh, by the way, for all you Georgia Tech football players that are here, I go, I'm the guy that gave you the national championship in 1990 because I was coaching defense at UVA when you all beat our ass.
You're welcome, everybody.
Yeah, I said, so you want my autograph? I'm free to give it after it's over with, but I'm the guy that gave you that national championship.
So what were your thoughts about the captains being named?
Well, they named Grunkmeyer the captain. They don't name him the starter. Well, that's and I, all due respect to Coach Franklin, that's a bullshit flag. I'm throwing the bullshit flag.
Correct.
And it is. I'll call it like it is. I mean, if I was sitting there at a bar with him, I would sit there and tell him right to his face.
Yeah. What do you do?
And I wouldn't even have to go through the first glass of wine to do that. But I call bullshit on it. But here's the thing with captains. You got to really be careful today. And I'll give you an example. In 1993, when I got to Tech, I recommended. I didn't tell Coach B. I always use the word recommend because that was my place to recommend. He's the head coach. You'll make the decision. But, especially if you ask me, here's what I recommend. I knew my role as an assistant. I said, Coach, I recommend that we have game captains. This was because he wanted to elect captains after spring practice. I said, Coach, you won 2 games last year. You got no leaders on this team. You got great kids. You got good followers. Some kids, because winning is the one way to begin to establish your leadership. You don't do it with losing. Winning is the one key to establishing your leadership. And I've always believed that. All of a sudden, Rick, how many staff meetings I've been in, and especially towards the end when on the losing teams, we ain't got no leadership. Midway through the year, we have no leadership. Really? And all of a sudden you're winning. You're coming off the Rose Bowl. Hey, we got great leaders. And think about all the coaches that, after the season's over with, it's Kurt Signetti, and first thing they talk about is their leadership. What great leaders they have. Well, yeah, if you're at Indiana, you can vote for captains because their leadership won games for them. That's the standard. And so next thing you know, in 93, I said, Coach, I recommend you, let's have game captains. We'll be the leaders, the coaches. You know, took a page out of Coach Alvarez's thoughts on leadership. And you went ahead and had captains, elected them after the spring. Well, next thing you know, we're in a preseason, and Todd will tell you this, we had a come to Jesus practice meeting, on the field. And as I told Frank, we're bringing the 60s back into the 90s. And it was a very demanding practice of who are you and what do you want? Practice. Get those questions answered right now. And so guess what happened? One of the captains picks up his helmet and walks off the field and quits.
Is it now?
Enough said.
Didn't Nick Saban make a big deal out of that he did it week by week? And at the end of the year,
at LSU, without a doubt,
they voted at the end of the year. The team would say who was the best captain, and then that was your permanent captain. You didn't do it at the start of the season, right?
No. When we got to LSU, the leadership was the players. It was they had every problem and manageable you could have in college football. You name, I call it the 26-letter problem. 26 of the letters of the alphabet. Put a word in front of it that associates a problem, especially in athletics, and we had all 26 when he got there. He doesn't get enough credit for turning that thing around. So, all of a sudden, well, hey, look at this. Here's a hypothetical. I don't live in a hypothetical world. What happened, for whatever reasons, that the running back in Virginia was elected captain? He just got arrested last week.
Right.
The kid from UAB.
Yep.
Okay? You have no idea what's going to concur, especially even now in the next 2 weeks. You have no idea. So game captains to me are the way to go. You got the portal now where half your team's getting getting rolled over. You think you know these kids? You don't know these kids. And especially the way practices are today. The way that the rules are today. You don't. Sometimes most teams today, except for the Kirby Smarts, even Coach Signetti to that point, not that they're that physical, but most teams today's practices are what's your true character of your team? Let's find this sucker out, especially when you're going into a program and you're coming off a losing season, and you look at last year, the coach got fired in the third game of the year at Virginia Tech, okay? Not only did you have players that can't play, but you had, that was this team. I wouldn't say they quit because they didn't start most of the games, but that's I call it a fractured football team that they had. That's why Coach Franklin is there, all right? You brought portal kids in. You brought the Penn State kids in, all right? Have game captains just for that reason alone in today's football. Between the NIL and the portal is the greatest reasons to not have permanent captains till after the season. Because, I would say 60% of the teams in college football, maybe even 70%, I could be wrong on this, but you can ask Todd this question. Those coaches don't know their teams till game day, because the way the practices are structured, you really don't know them. We found out the character of our football team in what I call the moment of truth of 3 weeks, 29 days, where you got 29 days to find out who you are in the preseason. Because all that spring practice and all that crap, now it's time to find out. And so when you get to the preseason and it's not about the physical toughness, it's about the mental grind and dealing with the adversities. And, which nobody was better than that with Coach Holtz or even Coach Saban. Most of the guys I grew up with, man, you better love this game. That's even as a coach. I got my ass chewed as much as coaching as I did playing, for God's sakes. I say, this ass is a lot smaller than it was when I was born, trust me, because they've been chewed so much. But that's my take on it, Rick. Sorry to.
No, it's fine. I was following up on it. One of the quotes from Nick Saban when he was in the heart of winning titles said, "Yeah, we do it week to week because we want our guys. It's another form of engagement for our football team. It's a goal within the football team. Guys take pride in trying to be one of the captains, and guys take even more pride in voting for those captains. That's interesting."
Yeah. Well, you know what Woody Hayes said? Woody Hayes said, "They'll vote, but I will count them." He goes, a lot of times it's not a popularity contest. I want the guy that people, you're really looking for an enforcer, not a leader. And they're hard to find. They're almost extinct now. Guys that walk in the locker room and all the negativity just stops.
Yes.
They feel like they're afraid they're going to get their ass beat.
Exactly.
You know that, Rick. Come on. I mean, you know what? My buddy I just went to, the Celebration of Life, I don't think in the history of the NCAA this was ever done. He goes to Georgia Tech on the quarter system. I think he enrolls there in March. They go right into spring practice. After 20 days, the team elected him captain. He was only on the campus for 4 weeks. Now, you talk about an impact. You know how he earned that? He earned that by kicking everybody's ass. And went to a program that was losing. And guess who was the coaching staff? Bud Carson was the head coach. Jerry Glanville was the defensive back coach.
Oh, wow.
Tom Moore, who's still coaching today, was the offensive coordinator. This is 1970 Georgia Tech football. How about that staff?
Wow. Some great names right there, man. You talk about defensive coaching royalty right there. Wow.
So now the captain thing is today, no way. They asked me, I raise my hand and say, game captains.
So what? Let me ask you, how does Tony Elliott handle that now? He's gotten burned. You just made the point. One of his captains is now.
Well, I'm not saying he's not the captain.
He's not one of them? Okay.
No, sir. No, let me clarify.
Okay.
Let me clarify that, please.
But if he would have been, you're in that quandary.
I'm using that as a hypothetical.
Okay.
I'm using that as a hypothetical. Like I said, in 1993, our captain walked off and quit.
How did y'all get through that?
Second week of practice, picked up his helmet and walked off. And I tried to come back, and I said, nope. You quit.
So how was that handled, like internally? How did you guys respond to that as a staff, and how did the team respond?
Well, I turned to the staff and said, all right, good. Now I think we know who our football team is. And when your captain walks off, now, okay, the guys who are left, you got their attention in a hurry.
Yeah, sure. 100%.
And it was, we weren't trying to run anybody. I've never run a player off in my life. Never. That's their decision. This is what the game demands. The position requires. Sorry. But I will be unapologetic because that your opponent is getting ready to kick your ass and embarrass you in front of your family and your girlfriends. Okay. And we're not going to let that happen.
Right.
Because this is what the game demands and requires. And I am so sorry about that. Yes, you're gonna.
We're working. So sorry you have to deal with how hard this game is.
I am. And you know what I told him, Rick? The thing you'll appreciate more than anything else, and there's not a football player that I played with at Ferrum or William and Mary will ever tell you. If you ever talk to anybody I ever played with, that's Jimmy Grove or Ferrum or Phil Mosser or William and Mary, they will tell you. I would never put my goal in coaching. I would never ask a player to do anything that I never had been done. That I had done myself or been through. Never, and that's fact. And I used to tell the players, "Well, you better hold on to your ass to get my scholarship at William and Mary." When I got to William and Mary, they had a drill called the Tangerine Bowl drill. Lou Holtz. It was a 7-station deal after warm-ups. And one of the stations was the old Bull in the Ring. Well, I'm a quarterback. I'm the quarterback. I get there. I go to that station. A guy named Billy Monday. I got in the middle of that circle. You used to do that drill. I'm sure Joel Hicks did. And a fair, when we did bull in the ring, it was face mask to face mask. It was not shoulder pad to shoulder pad.
Yep.
And I hit that sucker and damn near knocked his ass out. And so the guy holding the stage goes, "Don't leave. You stay here." I had to go through it 7 damn times, and then they moved me to defense.
Ours was called the hamburger drill. The whole team stood around. You got down in your stance. He got down in his stance. Who wins the territorial battle? Who wins the war, right, for that moment? Yep.
And it's not so much of who won and who lost. The winner, it was the loser and how you handled it.
Correct.
That's what you wanted to see.
That's what you wanted to see. That's right.
How you handled defeat, how you handled failure. And I was watching a baseball game last night because it was with the little leaguers. They played in Williamsport, the Braves and the Brewers. And one of the baseball players that mentioned he was asked a question. They had the kids asking the players questions, talked about, greatness in baseball and how you get to this point. He said, deal with failures. That's what separates the major league players from the great player from the good player, or the good player from the average player. What separates them is how they deal with the failures that are going to happen in the game. And your attitude, when you strike out, your attitude, or you get into a slump, your attitude, or you making an error, your attitude on that stage is what separates. That's why they're in that league playing. And I thought that was a great point. And I've always had a saying, Rick, and this is sad today. It's not the kid's fault. It's sad. Failure is good.
Right.
It's like tying. Remember the tying your shoes? I used to have the kids bring a kid up. I'd untie the lace in his shoe. And I said, all right, close your eye. And as fast as you can, tie that sucker back. Tie that knot back. And they could do it. I said, you know how many times that skill had to be taught to you? And you know how many times you failed doing it? And it was, but you had a goal. You wanted to go out and play, and you weren't doing it at your bare feet or your street shoes or your good shoes. Okay. You had to get those cleats, sneakers, whatever tied up to go play. And you had to learn that over and over and over. And you tried to do it by yourself and failed. It's the only way you're going to learn. Learning through failure is the best way to learn, without a doubt. You reach that point. Because the other thing too, Rick, without getting philosophical, I know myself at Fair, you always ask this question, man, do I really want to do this? How bad do I want to do this sport? And all you need to find out is one good reason. You don't need a lot of them. Find one good reason, and it'll bring you back to what you're doing, whatever you're doing, without getting into philosophical BS. But that was my experiences.
No, that's it. That there was a lesson. There was a reason behind it all. You may not understand it at the time. Right.
Being missed today, Rick. That's one thing that's being missed today. Don't like it, transfer. Going gets tough, leave. So
right. And you may not know it at the time, but what they're trying to do, but it's how your inner response naturally happens is what they're looking for. That's how they know the true self of that player, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Coach Oates used to tell us before the game, 3 things are going to happen to you in this game, and they're not going to be very good. How you responding? 3 things are going to happen to you in this game, and they're going to be bad. How you responding?
And I like that. I like the honesty. I like the fact that I'm not going to BS you guys. We spent all this time together. Well, you can, I'm going to just shoot you straight, right? So I like that. You're not just trying to fill their head with, yeah, that's good.
Oh no, like I said, the captain thing is, I don't know, not because of even as a young coach, that was something I would sit there and go, let's have game captains. Let's have game captains, and because you never know, you elect a captain, he could end up quitting, going in the portal. He could, get arrested. What the hell? In today, there's so much crap going on today. If you elect a game captain now, you better be 100% sure that his guy is your enforcer and he better be, and you know what? He better be. You're telling me that Grunkemeyer is a starter if he was elected captain. So
Correct.
why bullshit? Why throw the bullshit around?
Exactly. It wasn't a good,
No.
And what happens if a captain gets hurt? Something he can't control. What if he gets hurt and he's out for the year? Then how much leadership can you get from that guy?
No, that you know, and that's another factor involved too. The permanent captain. You know, I think, but today it's not doesn't work. I don't think. I really don't. Not like it used to. I think you have a leadership council. You involve them in, selecting game captains for the week, as special teams captain, offense, defensive captain, in your preparation for the week. And it also gives you people to put in front of the team. It gives you a double learning experience of, your teammate and who they are, and as they get in front of that football team to lead the team that week in that game. I think that's a great way to involve and build your culture with your football team.
Well, we'll see how it all plays out. Geese says, I can't imagine how hard it is to be a football coach nowadays, as opposed to, coaching in general today. And I don't either. I tip my hat, especially here locally, all the high school coaches and the youth league coaches. I tip my hat to folks who, probably in most cases aren't making a whole lot of money, but they're just giving all their time. It's tough. It's tough.
Take the agents and the parents out of that equation, and you still got a lot of good kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's fact. The old saying today, it's the adults in the room. Well, it is. Enough of that discussion, because it is. You look at what's happened now to college football. These kids are going to NFL camps, coming back to college football. You just when you think you heard the most absurd thing in this game.
I know. I know.
Wait till next month, Rick.
That's true. Every time a new month means something new.
Wait till next week. You go, okay, just when you thought you've heard it all. Just when you thought. It's now the lawyers and the courts are running college football.
100%.
You talk about useless presidents, ADs, commissioners, the NCAA, which is presidents and ADs, outside the TV negotiated contracts. What the hell are you? What wisdom? You talk about a waste of money? These guys they're getting paid. As far as the NCAA managing college football, the attorneys and the courts are running college football.
Right.
And that's why they want the government to come in to stop the lawsuits. This is all about the lawsuits and getting injunctions and stays. And as long as it remains as it is, that's why think about this. When the NFL, how many lawsuits does the NFL have to deal with? And I'm sure they deal with it. But how many have they lost?
Very true.
To see that win-loss. I gotta believe
different.
I think they won over 50% of the lawsuits.
And a little different than the NCAA's percentage, isn't it?
Exactly. Enough said. Okay. And the government's not going to help you with they're trying to get the courts out of the NCAA, out of college football, and they're not going to do it.
No.
Until they deem these kids employees, until they have collective bargaining, until they make we are the College Professional Athletic Association. Okay, and then now here's what the rulings. The NFL, they have a bargaining. They got the Players Association. Blah blah blah. And if you want to put a change or a ruling on it, well, the players can, like you said, baseball may not have a season. Well, get college football, they may have to cancel the season because the players aren't going to play. They're going to strike. So, why not? Call it like it is. You want to put a stop to all this? Well, okay. Or the only other way is the people giving money to NIL stop doing it, or the college coaches stop taking the kids, stop paying them. I'm not paying you. You're coming to play. You're going to give a scholarship, and that's it. Now, how long are you going to last? You'll be fired. You got one season.
I know.
I mean, Dabo tried it, and look at him.
Yeah, he gave it a shot. Didn't work for him. So. Well, it's interesting. I've made this whole thing of going to the NFL camp and then asking to be cut so you can go back to college, to be cut early it's unbelievable.
Let me tell you what, I've heard more NFL coaches speak negatively about that than college coaches. And here's the worst part. LSU, Kiffin's going to take him. He'll take him back.
Oh, yeah.
That's the worst part to me.
Yeah.
That is the worst part. Because you know what? Those courts in New Jersey, they can't force anybody to take that kid. Now, he can go into the portal and he can be eligible. And the sad part is somebody's going to take him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What happens if what happens if the conferences get together and say, under no circumstances in conference play are we going to tolerate this?
I don't know.
But
it needs to happen.
But you know what? That's how big the winning is today. They're going to prostitute themselves. It's an indictment on the whole thing.
It is.
Just when you thought you heard it all, Rick.
I know. We're heading into the first weekend of games, and then we have that.
Let's get to an NFL camp. And by the way, if I get cut, I can go back to college football. Wow.
I know.
Wow. How about the decision of the fact that you should have stayed in college? You made the decision to go to the league, to get in the NFL, and whether you're drafted or not, I don't care how you get there, but you sign a contract. Okay, you have an agent, you sign a contract, and it doesn't work out. Oh, my bad. I get to go back. Boom.
The judge said I can go back, so let's go.
Why didn't you make the decision to stay in college, you dumbass? And the college coaches probably told the kid, hey, just like with Barry Allen was with Ron Dane. He needed one more year. He was not a great conditioned, self-disciplined player. Great kid, but his conditioning, his discipline, he needed another year of maturity. He was a great, wonderful human being, but he was immature as far as being a good back to a great back or a middle round draft choice to a first round. Barry had the hard truth conversations, but the problem is your kids get but the agent and the moms and dads, let's go to the league.
Let's go now. Yeah.
So
and
now
it didn't work out. And it didn't work out for him in the league.
The behavior, decision-making behavior and consequences go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And now you got kids that can make decisions that affect the behavior, but the consequences are, let me go back to college. Although they should have made the decision to stay in college. Dumbass. So, that's what the problem is. Okay?
Yeah.
If you got a kid and you've earned that kid's trust, and because Coach, I'm gonna go off for the NFL. Son, let me tell you, and you do all your homework. You get your scouts, you get the thing from the NFL saying, look, Todd can talk this better than I can. I mean, I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But at least I know I would tell a kid, hey, look, you need one more year. Come on. Not because of you. Hey, you leave here, we can win with or without you, okay? I'm not here because you're going to make us a better team. I'm talking about let's get personal. You want to get your draft status? Stay one more year. Well, what about injuries? Well, guess what? You get hit by a car tomorrow. What the hell? You could be in a plane crash. Plane goes down. Come on now. Don't give me that. Oh, what about injuries? Shit. That's part of the game.
Part of the game, yeah.
Okay. Rehab.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see what Todd has to say about it, but I think it's a
yeah.
joke
We're going to
because-
get into that. I want to get into that with him
because
too.
the decisions these kids are making, you talk about affecting your behavior. You got a decision to make. Who are you going to, whether it's religion, who you're going to marry, or what school you're going to attend. It's three big decisions at 18, 19, 20-year-old. And you got consequences with those decisions. But now, if you don't make the decision you're happy with, oh, well.
Do over.
Yeah, do over. Yeah, okay, great. Wonderful. How about that? You going to hire that guy? You going to hire that guy? You think that guy's going to give a crap about your company? I tell you that right now.
Yeah,
100%. Could be the greatest kid that ever laced up a pair of shoes. Don't care. I ain't hiring him.
You're not coming here.
And I don't want him back in my program. I don't care how good he is, and you can fire my ass right now.
Right now.
That's me.
Sorry,
Rick.
No, it was good, man. No, you're not rambling.
Too much.
It was good. No, it was great. It was great. We'll give you a call for Friday too if you're available. That'd be great. Get you back on. So.
You keep having me back, Rick. Like I said, I'm like the golden retriever. I just wag my tail and smile, man. Appreciate it. I get to talk football. As you can see, Janet's a shagger. So this is shag Romy's draft world. So guess what? Who am I talking football to? Hey, when I call people, they know that I'm going to talk football. And
that's right.
They won't take the calls anymore.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right, brother.
All right, Coach. You have a great week, man. We'll talk to you at the end of the week.
Take care, boss.
All right, brother. Good stuff. The one and only Coach Elmo. It's so good. So good. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Isn't this whole thing wild? Let's go to college and or let's go to the pros and they said I could come back. Let's go back. Same thing with the whole G League and all that. Man, I'm trying to focus on the games. It's week 0, I'm going to let Creed out. But it's just so difficult. It is. What's up, Christopher Lester? Good to see you. It's still a bit chilly down there. It's still a little bit chilly. 55 this morning. I think Prometheus said it was 53. Is that right? Something like that? Man. Todd Grantham will join us coming up here. Yeah, the G League was supposed to help guys develop. They don't like it. They're going back to college now. Let's just go. The money's better at this school, right? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he has coached at a theoretical Mount Rushmore. Saban, Holtz, Alvarez, Beamer. Yeah. Tells you all you need to know when 4 guys like that brought in that guy, Coach Elmo. Coach Beamer used to say it was the smartest thing he'd done. Well, you heard Bud Foster talk about it too. Todd said he might be about 5 minutes late. I'm going to send him an invite because they're in coaches' meetings. How about that? We get to talk to Coach right coming out of meetings. That's good stuff. Exciting stuff. But it is a big brisk this morning. Feels good, though. I mean, it's kind of nice. The day will get warm. It won't be too hot. No humidity. It'll be awesome. We'll feel good out there today. Going to be good. Thanks to Pulaski County Sports Entertainment, the presenting sponsor of this program. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street, Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. The attorney, Ryan Pry. We need a good question for our BDST fan question of the week, 701 West Main Street in Radford. What you got? Trust and estate planning. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of yours truly and this program. Professional Door Incorporated, Travis Williams, sponsor of our text line at 391-0788. You should know that by now. 40 years in business. ReadySetFund.com with Bob Christ, BobChrist11 at Gmail. Or just go to the website, find out how text messages can help you raise money quickly if you need team uniforms, equipment, whatever it might be. Sundown Electric, one of the best electrical companies in the area. Go see the Smith Brothers down in Elliston. They're awesome. Awesome. NRB Super Bowl, they hosted our bash. Great to see so many people there. 540-382-5525. Kids Leagues now are forming there. Thanks to Terry and Amanda, Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. James Lawson's done it since 97, 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. Give James a call, 540-381-8011. Manufactured parts for your home. Great, great stuff. Oh, okay. We got to get to that, Chris. Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios, 540-200-8294. Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic, 155 Walters Drive. Go see him today. Let him unleash the technology. Thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel, 4377. All the folks at the Chamber, we want to thank them as well. Let's see here. Make sure I got to find that release so I don't get the information wrong. Steve Bafuto sent it to me. I want to make sure that we're not wrong. Yeah, here we go. All right, September 21st. The Chamber Classic Golf Tournament. Teams of 4, $500. Sponsorship starting at $100. For more information, MontgomeryCountyCC.org/Golf Classic. To go and do some September golfing. Wonder if Coach Elmover put up square bells. Todd is at the House of Dragons UAB Blazers. All right, Chris, we want your prediction. Question of the week, best NFL coach of all time. That's a good one. It's going to be a lot of opinions if that's the one we choose. We'll make the decision before we head out. All right, Chris Lester, what you got for the season? Yeah, maybe we'll roll with that, Wayne. Maybe we'll roll with that. It's tough for me. I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know if I can name. If you're going to press it against me, greatest coach of all time, it's tough because there's so many that had specialties. You know, people immediately, we talked about this last week when we were going over the Carolina mess with Belichick. They always, I think, carelessly throw out he's the best coach of all time. He's not the best NFL coach of all time. He's one of the best. And he won 6 Super Bowls, regardless of how he did it. He's got 6 rings. I get it. There are just so many. From my era, just growing up alone. Of course, you can go back to Paul Brown. You can go back to, of course, Coach Lombardi, Chuck Noll, Tom Landry, Don Shula, the great Bill Walsh, George Papa Bear Hallis. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. And Joe Gibbs. It's difficult to name the best. We'll do it. Let's do that. We'll make it the question of the week. The all-time, in your opinion, your all-time best NFL coach. You can hit me up on the BDS text line 3910788. No, John Madden, Prometheus was a great coach. He was. Probably didn't do it long enough to be the all-time best. Maybe he did. That he had a goal. He wanted to be in broadcasting, and he did it. No, I love Coach Madden. I'm with you, man. He's up there. I mean, it's difficult. It is. Lombardi probably for me will always get a little bit of a nod. But, that was before the merger. He was there at the Packers and won a couple Super Bowls, after the merger or after when the Super Bowl was played, he won the 2 errors. And, of course, he got sick, went to Washington, made the Redskins a good team. Vince Lombardi is probably still the face of coaching in the NFL, wouldn't you say? Chris got him going 9-3. Chris Lester says 9-3 is my prediction for Virginia Tech. T-Bird says my favorite is John Madden, but favorite and all-time best are. Yeah, I know that's the thing. Yeah. People say Belichick needs to stop watching football. Exactly. Was he a great defensive coach? He was. I mentioned what he had won. They cheated. He didn't win without Brady. He's not doing it at Carolina. I think what Joe Gibbs accomplished in the Super Bowl era is still the most amazing accomplishment of any coach. You win 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. Nobody, no matter how great they may have been, nobody's done that. You imagine Chuck Noll winning 4 Super Bowls without Terry Bradshaw. Vince Lombardi didn't. Well, for him, it's tough to gauge because he got sick, and then he passed away shortly after the second Super Bowl. But he had Bart Starr. Don Shula had Bob Greasy. Did not, and I mean did not. Win without Bob Greasy. It's interesting. It's interesting. You think Jimmy Johnson was the best in college in the NFL? So, in other words, you're saying Jimmy Johnson's the greatest football coach of all time, Prometheus? Chris says, I think the football team is young, athletic, and no one expects anything from it. Well, I don't know. I think there's some pretty high expectations out there. I mean, you're going from a 3-win team to oh, that's right. Coach Elmo remind me, Bear Bryant. How did I leave out Bear? That was college coaches, yeah. College coach would be a totally different animal. Wow. Oh, just the best that did both. Gotcha. Yeah, you're probably right about that. Yeah, he won titles at both. So I think, yeah, from that, yeah, looking at it that way, Prometheus, you're right. I think you're right. Saban didn't win in the NFL. So, yeah. Landry, Noel Schulia. Marty Schottenheimer will never get enough credit. Dan Reeves was a great coach. Don Coryell, Air Coryell. Yeah, we had some great coaches, man. The NFL was so much fun as it developed from the merger into the 80s. So much fun. Yeah, that's a tough one. From the NFL perspective, I think I'm always going to give Lombardi the nod. But, man, I tell you what, there's so many great ones. It's tough to – Chris saying Tech's a year away from the college football playoff. Well, especially if there's expansion, which I think it's going to expand. It's going to go to 24, right? ESPN's 20 team. Hey, we want to keep all the games, so let's just do 20 teams, right? Everybody going to agree with that, right? Okay, good. No. Yeah, it's good stuff. Really good stuff. So those are fun debates. These are the kind of fun sports debates. This is when sports is fun. Like when you have these debates and nobody's making it personal, you're just going back and forth. Somebody bring up a good point and you go, oh, I didn't think about that. It's water cooler talk. Yeah, Pete Carroll did do both, right? Of course, a lot of scrupulous behavior at USC got him out of the collegiate game for the Seahawks. Should have won 2 Super Bowls, right? He had the other one in the bag. Idiot. Chris got him 9-3. We're not real far off, Chris. I said 7-5, but I could understand 8-4. But hey, we saw Virginia win 11 games last year. They were picked at the bottom of the league. We saw Wake Forest win 9 games last year. So nothing is like you see as a total wins if it's a high number and you go, well, that won't happen, right? It can happen. Sure, it can happen. It's happening all the time in this day and age with the portal. So I get it. Joining us now on the program, defensive coordinator of the UAB Blazers. We're getting close now. It's about tee it up time. What's up, Coach Grantham? How are you?
Hey, Rick. Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How was the week of practice now as the guys getting honed in?
Yeah, it was really good. We ended it on Saturday night. Of course, we moved it tonight just because our first game's at night. And, everybody's new. So, we went through everything that day from the standpoint of pregame meal, how you setting, all that kind of stuff. 90 minutes before the game where you got to be from that deal. And then, of course, our strength coach, he'll go through a activation period, with them as far as stretching and movement and all that kind of stuff and kind of explain that. We did all that. Then we went through the pregame warm-ups, which is the second time we've actually done that. What's going to happen is, guys, you get into the game situation and you've got to have done that because, guys get excited and hyped up and all that, and it's got to be a little bit of a routine. So we went through that. Then we went through how we call plays, how we do 7-on-7 in pregame, shadow guys, like you're not knocking balls down, you're actually catching balls. We have multiple guys throwing balls. Then we went through some team plays. Then we basically went in the locker room, and at 15 minutes, I gave him a speech, kind of told him here's how we're going to do things. Went out and we went scrimmage. Scrimmage was really good. It was about 40 plays for the 1s and 2s. So that ends up giving us, roughly 75 to 80 plays in game-like conditions, scrimmage type stuff, before the first game. So I think that's enough. And then we went and scrimmaged, and we had a lot of situational stuff that's going to be, today's an off day for us. The 48-hour thing, which I'm a big believer in, it's the 48 hours after, something hard and, the 48 hours before. So today is an off day, but since school started, we'll actually meet this afternoon at 3 o'clock. But there's a lot of things that we're going to be able to go over to understand, how to play things. For example, we had the normal plays and things like that. But then we had, nowadays people go for it on fourth down. Well, most of the time when they do that, it's plus territory, meaning the ball is on the plus 45 or something. It's a longer field goal yardage range, or maybe field goal range. So it was third down, play fourth down. So hey, you got to realize in this situation, they could go for it. So you just got to understand the kind of runs you could, or passes you could get. Then we went into 2-minute, and then the situation today was really good, which as a defensive coach, I think it's harder, is the 2-minute need a field goal. You know what I'm saying? So we put like 50 seconds on the clock. They had one timeout and they had to go like 18 yards. So you're going to call that differently, and then we ended up with the situation where it was to win the game. So, you always look at, hey, fourth down, got to have it. What are they going to call? What are you going to call? And we kind of had that situation come up. So we did that. Then we went to overtime. And then the thing with overtime is kind of letting guys understand that, if we're up first on defense, they'll probably kick a field goal, if you stop them on fourth down, keep the game alive and all that. But if you're up second, it's going to be dictated by what happened. In other words, if we scored a touchdown and they're up, well, they're going to go for it on fourth down. So you got to get a 4-down stop. So let the guys understand that. And then one thing that we kind of added talking to Coach Mortensen is after a couple overtimes, then it goes to 2-point plays. So, and there's actually more 2-point plays now in college football than before because of that rule. So we went over some 2-point plays, which we've done before, but we made it a part of the extended overtime period, and just understand, like there's specific kind of plays you'll get in overtime and understanding how those would come about. So we did that, and it was really good. So I think there's going to be a lot of good teaching today, and guys got to understand, and like, okay, it's fourth down and where's the stick line? Okay, well, that's where they got to get to. So if it's really long yardage, we got to understand the kind of routes you're getting, the protection you're getting, understanding the location of the tight end will tell you a lot of times what's happening. If it's fourth down and only 3 to 4, well, these are the certain kind of plays you're getting. So trying to educate the guys on all that stuff. And then they kind of get a feel for how I would call the game too. And then what's coming up. So I thought it was really good. I think it was a hard camp. We still got 3 days. We still got 3 days this week. So training camp's officially over, but we got this week, and this week was going to be short, crisp practices. We were going to transition into scout team work, to let the scout team guys get acclimated to how they got to play, so there's going to be an adjustment period there, for those guys and understanding that. So what we're going to do with we have 2 20-minute periods a day. So tomorrow we'll work on an opponent that's a little unusual relative to everybody else we see. So we'll work on them. And then the Wednesday practice, just based upon our structure and the way we are, there'll be certain things that we'll see. And the great thing about our offense and Coach Mortensen is we see everything, right? I mean, like we get a lot of challenges formationally with what they do. So that's really good going against them. But there's a few things that we're going to see that we got to understand how to play these plays based upon our structure and our system that, people research you, and this is what you're going to see. And then Thursday we'll be on to Illinois and we'll kind of start that, even though we won't call it the first Illinois practice, we'll start working some of their stuff, which we've seen a lot of their plays in practice already, but we'll start that. And then Friday will be an off day. And then Saturday we'll start our game week for the first game.
I love all that, and I love the hey, they just need a field goal to beat us practice, man. Because how many times do we see it? I know. Go back to the Bills Chiefs game, right? The Bills Chiefs playoff game. They didn't practice that. That's why they lost.
That's the hardest one there is, and then you get into the, and it's harder in college because the clock stops on a first down. Like in pro ball, it's a little bit easier because the clock will not start on an inside throw. Whereas in college, it will stop. So that makes it a little bit more challenging. Like, for example, as good as Oregon and Ohio State are, like their game last year, I think it was last year, the year before, went down to a, I guess it was 2 years ago, went down to a field goal where the quarterback scrambled and slid and the game was over. You know, I mean, you can't run in that situation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's 7 seconds left. You can't get beyond the stick line. So if you take off running and you don't get the first down, the clock's going to keep running. Well, he did that and the game was over. So, I mean, you know, for both sides, offensively and defensively, understanding those situations and how to play them. And it was good work. I think we did a good job. So we just got to finish it off this week a little bit and get ready to go come Saturday.
Well, we've been talking a lot about, you know, over at Virginia Tech, James Franklin named all of his captains. Do you guys do that before the season, or you guys do that?
I'll be honest. I mean, look, you can do what you want to do. I'm not a proponent of that. I think, you know, we've always, in this day and age, portal guys, I mean, we brought in 40 guys that we've been around since January. Okay?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, and really, to be honest with you, Virginia Tech probably did the same thing. They have a lot of new guys. Now, you know who your leaders are from a standpoint of wanting to have a leadership council. So we have a leadership council, and those guys will meet with Coach Mortensen once a week. And the leadership council is representation of everybody, meaning, okay, you're going to have your older guys, but you'll have each position will have somebody in that leadership council. Each class, meaning a freshman, will be in that leadership council with the idea that their voice is heard. So if there's a concern or something, hey, they can bring it up. And then you communicate that way. And then you have game captains. So that way, based upon your performance as the game goes or the season goes, you name a captain for the game. Because look, when the lights come on, you know, people can change a little bit. Okay. And both good and bad. So you may have a guy that all of a sudden becomes a little bit more of a leader, a little bit more vocal. Well, he can become a captain. So I think the best way to do it is you have a leadership council, and then you have game captains. And at the end of the year, you announce your captains. That's the way it should be done.
I got to ask you about this 5-year thing and what we're seeing now with guys going and asking to be cut to go back to play college, Coach. What do you think about all that?
I mean, it's dumb. I mean, you know, once you're a pro, you're a pro. Now, the only thing with it is the only guys that are technically eligible right now are the ones that went through Louisiana.
Right.
You know, so the kid that went from Cleveland that's going to go to LSU, obviously he's eligible. So there's a handful of them. So not everyone is actually technically eligible yet based upon that rule. But, you know, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's a dumb rule. I mean, once you're a pro, you're a pro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Once you went into camp, that's your decision. I mean, with every decision, there's consequences, right? And you made your decision, so that you got to, you know, those are the consequences. And to me, it would be hard for me, though, to have, you know, you bring in guys to your team, okay, and then you're going to play hard and you're going to coach them hard. And these guys, they're going to have a belief in you. And then, you know, today you decide to bring in somebody and I'm going to have to sit the bench. I understand it's a business from that perspective, but I just don't like the way that looks. And I would rather roll with the guys I got.
100%. 100%. Coach Eric asked on the professional door text line, is there a certain amount, a percentage goal that you have to get both the offense and defense in at a certain time before the first game?
Yeah, it's all in. I mean,
all in, right?
Yeah. It's never all in, but it's conceptually in. You know what I'm saying? Like we have like I could create pressures from today until Christmas, and we wouldn't have the same one every day. Okay, because we could change structurally how we do something, although systematically the coverage stays the same, but the look changes. So from a concept standpoint, everything we need is in. We'll just pick each week the things we think we need best. And as things go on video, you know, people coach, right? They look at video. So as those things go on video, you'll adjust maybe what your look is and try to window dressing it to make it look like something else down the road.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense because you've been putting stuff in. Hey, you were going through the summer. You were making sure guys got familiar with it from the get-go, right? When they
we started in January our football school, and then we started over again in spring practice, and then we actually started over again in June. And then June we didn't get quite everything in because it was a little bit shorter, but then we went back in training camp and put everything in. And we have enough. I mean, you know, everybody's going to say their first year, everybody's first year now. and we have enough to play with, so we'll go play.
Yeah, exactly. I always ask you about development and so forth. Now, as we get closer and closer and closer, you kind of have an idea of the guys you're going to catch.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a certain rotational depth that you think about, or is it just, I feel like all these guys, when called upon, can rock and roll?
Yeah, I mean, you have your two deep plus, meaning is it who's your two deep, and then within your two deep, like for example, your front guys, you're going to rotate more and play more snaps. In other words, look at it as a 70-play game. Okay, well, how do I get 70 plays out of the tackle position? How do I get 70 plays out of the nose position? How do I get 70 plays out of the end position? And you do that for all the positions. And it's hard to say a guy can play 70 plays an entire game and play hard. You know what I'm saying? Now, sometimes that'll happen a little bit more in the back end than it will in the front end. But, you're going to have roles for guys and define those roles. And then you'll practice according to those roles, from here on out. So we'll end up doing that. The biggest thing is I really do like the way our guys have approached everything. And we made camp challenging mentally just to see how they would respond. Because, like, at the end of the day, what we told them is like, look, everything you do from now on is force. I mean, you play with force, you walk with force, you enter the tunnel with force, you enter the stadium with force. And then you have authority. And authority is how you grow and get better from the standpoint of, look, there's rules in the game. Okay, so you got to respect the authority. In other words, they always get the second guy in the punch. Okay, so understand if there's a punch thrown, hey, pull our guys, move them over, respect the authority of the officials. Coaching, coaching's authority. You got to take coaching, and sometimes it's hard. We all have bosses. I have a boss. You have a boss. Everybody's got bosses. So you got to understand the authority and the way that goes, and you got to be able to put in the work and understand what the authority is saying and respond to it. And then the last thing is respond. During the season, there's going to be good and bad. So how do you respond to the good? How do you respond to the bad? And it's all about the next play mentality. So really, looking at those kind of things, just your force, your authority, and your respond is the things that we've really tried to simplify and move forward, for this season with our guys.
What's the biggest difference you mentioned, and it happens, every level, rotating defensive linemen and so forth. Is there a big difference between the professional and college levels, just a matter of who it is and so forth?
It's not really different. There's less plays in pro football. The way the game's set up, there's a few less plays.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, you have that, but it's really not different in how you play the guys, particularly up front. Now, the one thing that's different in pro football is you have less guys available. You're going to be down to like 45 guys game day. And that's why when people tell me, it's funny, they say we only got 70 guys traveling. Like, that's more than enough. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm used to having, hey, you have 5 defensive linemen, they got to play these 3 spots. Or, I got 6 defensive linemen, they got to play these 4 spots. I got 3 linebackers, they got to play both. So I've always been into cross-training guys because when I was the coordinator of the Browns, I mean, we'd go into the game and have 22 guys available for defense because you got to count in special teams and all of that. And then that's where it's important that your receivers and offensive guys can help you on special teams, from a snap count thing, because the one thing that people lose sight of is when you say, how many plays did you play defensively and special teams? So if I got a starter that's playing, he's playing the whole game, 70 plays, and he's playing special teams, he's playing another 20, that's 90 plays. Like, you can't expect that. So when you do your chart on how many plays the guy's playing, you got to add special teams into that equation. And then you got to figure out, where can we get this guy blow so he can play at max performance the whole time? And luckily, our special teams coach is a defensive coach for us, so that we're able to kind of figure that out as we're talking, on our personnel and defense.
Have guys evolved? Are they more honest now when they need to come out of a game, and then maybe trying to fight through it now as opposed to when you started earlier days through your
I think you just explain to them. I mean, I think they all want to play, but at the end of the day, it's about winning the game in the fourth quarter. And you got to find ways to finish people off. Offensively, they're going to punt. Defensively, you got to stop them. Okay. And when you stop them in the fourth quarter, you got to stop them on 4 downs. And you got to be able to stop them with the rush, which takes a lot of effort and energy. So I think just trying to understand. And the other thing is, and I'll even tell them from an NFL standpoint, look, NFL don't give a shit if you play 80 plays in a game or 25 plays in a game. They're going to make a tape of your plays, and they want to see your best plays and your worst plays. And they're going to start with your worst plays first. Okay? Well, they don't care if that was the 80th play or the 25th play.
Yeah.
So put on tape your resume. Okay? Put on tape your resume for people to watch. So, in essence, that helps you in that regard because you're fresher.
Random question here from Jim, he's a diehard Titans fan. Coach, have you got to see Cam Ward much? I'm getting worried. You know, looking back, he didn't have a great rookie year. All in all, he struggled in the preseason. Have you seen much of Cam Ward? I don't know if you've had a chance. You got your own team to worry about. But.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything with him, so I really don't know. I know it's very difficult to play quarterback in the National Football League. Okay, and it takes a lot of time to understand the structure of the defense, what the look is, and the difference is it is the look and it's the post snap look, meaning you're seeing a picture and then when you get the ball it changes, but then the speed of the game changes. Two things change: one, the guys coming after you are quicker; two, when you throw the ball, the guys breaking on the ball are quicker. And most teams in pro football are going to play more tight coverage, meaning like you don't have these broad zones where, Rick, you could stand back and throw it to a guy that's open. You're going to have to throw it into, even though it's a zone, a tighter coverage, and you're going to have to throw it to a leverage, you know, and those things are speeded up. So it's very difficult to play, you know, quarterback in the National Football League. And it is a growing process. It is a learning process. So he's only in year 2, so I'm sure there's still going to be some growing pains.
Yeah, exactly. It took Peyton Manning, John Elway. It took those guys a year. They struggled rookie year. They had to go out and learn the hard way. So
yeah, I was actually with Peyton his second year. We went 13-3.
That's right.
Yeah, his first year he struggled, you know, and the year we went 13-3, it was actually at the time the greatest turnaround in NFL history. They were 3-13 and we went 13-3, but we won 8 games in the last 2 minutes of the game. Whether we finished it off or drove for a touchdown or field goal, 8 of our 13 wins were decided in the last 2 minutes of the game. And that's why I've always been big on the 2-minute thing, because you never know when it's going to come up. It's like anything. You don't know when it's going to come up, but when you need it, right?
Yeah.
You got to be prepared for it from that perspective.
And those lessons he learned from that tough rookie season, he took with him, right, to be able to figure it out in year 2, start to figure it out. So that's cool. Coach, Christian asking, Coach, what is your most experienced group on your defense at UAB?
Well, we have older guys at all levels, meaning we have older guys up front in the linebacker. You know, I would say that we're kind of a melting pot from the standpoint of we've first of all, this is the first year for everybody. Okay. But if you're just saying from an experience standpoint, we have experience at all different levels. We got experience up front, we got experience in the middle, and then we got experience in the back end. So I would say that we're really kind of a melting point. We got a little bit of leadership and veteran, thought process at all levels.
Well, that's good to have, right? I mean, that's cool. I mean, you got a lot of new guys, but at least they have that experience.
Yeah, they're new. Yeah. I mean, they're new. They're they're still learning to play, but they're new. But they've had some snaps to them, and they've been in some games. Our Mike linebacker. He was a starter last year, and we have some guys up front that started. We have our nickel started last year. Our free safety started last year at Memphis. So, I mean, we have a lot of veteran guys, so I don't think it'll be a problem.
I think it's cool you mentioned, hey, let's take the time to think about what game day is going to look like with meal time, with all these things, expectations. They need to get that down. That needs to be one thing off their plate, right, before they're starting to focus in on their job.
Well, we're all creatures of habit, right? So
yeah,
you got to do something. So we've done the whole pregame thing twice now, in the essence of we went to the stadium and did it as soon as we got there. And then we did a lead up to the game on Saturday with the idea, okay, pregame meals here. Here's how we go pregame meal. You got that's 4 hours before the game, right? And then you got to be back in there. We have what we call a chair drill at 5:00 for 2 hours before the game, before we go on the bus, 2 hours. And what a chair drill is getting last minute instructions that I may have, from a standpoint of, hey, early calls, here are my early calls, what I'm saying, go over one last minute adjustment and then, get on the bus and go to the stadium. So we'll do that, really right before we get on the bus to head to the game. And then once we get in the game or in the locker room, then you get into your, whatever you got to do to get ready. And that's from taping to getting with the strength staff to stretching to going out and doing individual work, from that perspective on movement skills and things like that. And then we get into the group stuff, team stuff, come back in, last minute instructions, and then go play the game. So I think you got to do all that stuff because everybody's new. And the more, it's just like, I thought it was important for us to always say, like, it's fourth quarter, the last period of the day, right? And you got to go finish in the fourth quarter. Because at some point during the season, I'm going to say that on the sidelines, hey, fourth quarter, we got to go finish the game. Well, we've done that 15 times already. So it's not like new. They haven't not heard me say that before, and I think we're all creatures of habit. And the more you can put them in situations where they feel like they're prepared, I think it allows them to have a little bit of a comfort and then let them just go play and execute.
All right, finally, let me ask you the impossible question because it's our question of the week. Who, in your opinion, is the greatest NFL coach of all time, or is there just one?
That's like the worst question ever. I mean, because there's no such thing as that. It would really be based on who had the best players that time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, who had the best players? I mean, you can argue. Chuck Noll. I mean, you can argue Lombardi. You can argue Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs did it without a franchise quarterback. I mean, people don't like Belichick, but he has 6 of them. If you're just saying Super Bowls, I mean, like, that's just a bad question. I mean, it's really based upon the players you had. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
That's then you get into Walsh. You can go back to that era. I mean, like, that's just, there's a lot of really good coaches.
I know, many.
Yeah.
So many.
So that's a loaded question. That's really based on who your favorite team is.
It is. I think it becomes best coach to favorite coach at that
That's
point.
right. It becomes who your favorite coach is or your favorite team.
Exactly.
I mean, Andy Reid. I mean, look at Andy Reid. I mean, you can. I mean, like,
I know.
Like, he's won Super Bowl at 2 different spots. I mean, like, now, do I think that? No, but I mean, what signifies that? I mean, like, that's just a hard question. That's really, and there's different times too. The rules are different now than they were back then. The game is different. Really hard question that has multiple answers, and it's really going to be based on the players they had.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I hope you guys have a great week with your players and coaches. We get closer, man. It's hard to believe. September the 3rd is almost here, man. We're getting there.
Yeah, it's close. We'll start out Saturday. Will be our Monday game week, first practice, and then we'll roll from there for the week.
Wow. I can't wait to get into travel week. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
All right, man. Have a great week. Keep them safe.
See you, bub. Later.
All right, man. There you go. Coach Grantham joined us on the program. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah, I don't know. We're going to leave it. We're going to keep it. It's got a lot of intrigue. Already getting a lot of answers on our professional door text line about the best NFL coach. So we're going to leave it. He's right, though. Stuff. Good stuff, man. It's going to be fun. You can go through a lot of debates on the best coach, as we already have. Can't wait to see who gets the most votes. But I trust this audience. You guys and gals, you're good at separating fanship from what you think, So it'll be a good question. Fun stuff today. I think this has been good therapy going into the week. A lot going on a Monday. Mondays aren't fun starting another work week. But here they are. Got to be honest, even though you'll miss him being here, I'm glad I got the the college drop done. I don't have to worry about that now. The college drop. Yeah, I mean, he makes a great, but Andy Reid's a Hall of Famer. Can't say first ballot anymore because Bill Belichick wasn't first ballot, but Andy Reid's clearly a Hall of Famer. Like, without question, he's a Hall of Famer. just no matter what context you put football in, right? It just comes. I just started thinking about that yesterday a little bit. It comes down to who stays the healthiest. Just who can keep their key players, especially the quarterbacks, healthy. Man, it's the biggest statistic in football. How many have hurt? Well, we lost our quarterback. Oh, you lost 2 starting offensive linemen. Oh, for how long? For the year. I mean, just the Chargers just lost one of the anchors of their offensive line for the year. Austin Janty, they thought yesterday had torn up his knee. Apparently, it's just a sprain. He's going to miss some time, but he's not going to miss the season for the Raiders, which is great news. Nothing worse than injuries. There's no right or wrong. People try to say, well, this is why you shouldn't have he didn't get hurt in the preseason. He got hurt in practice. You got to practice. All this avoidance of playing football, does it lead up to more injuries? I believe it does. Like anything else, you have to prepare your body. And football preparedness and having your body ready for cutting and adjusting and getting hit and dishing out hits. And have we overcorrected too much? Guys used to play 6 preseason games. Guys used to go full throttle in not only the Pro Bowl, but in all-star games against college teams. Now, Pro Bowl is a flag football game. There's no all-star game, and we don't hit but 10% of the time in training camp. But yet, when the lights come on and guys are lighting one another up, we're surprised by the amount of injuries and also playing on that god-awful plastic turf. Let me help you. What is it you say you do here? All right. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Monday. Please, again, subscribe, like, and share whenever you go back. If you watch, please take the time to hit the like button. That is huge in their algorithm here at YouTube. Huge. Did you see how I said here at YouTube? Because now I'm part of it for at least 3 years if I choose to be. Since we hit all of our stuff. Woohoo! Enjoy, everybody. Great to see everybody and talk to everybody in chat and on the text line. My goodness, we got a lot of professional door text line and McClellan chiropractic people here today. We'll see you tomorrow on the Tuesday edition. Be safe.